Welcome back to our series on Introduction to the Financial Services Industry. This video is we're going to talk about cryptocurrency and blockchain. And it's a very large topic, so this is going to be part one. There's going to be two videos on this topic. So we'll just start with our disclaimer here that this is just a high-level introduction. A lot of these materials are available on Investopedia, and we're not going to make any financial advice. So let's start with the concept of money, currency. What is money, right? Well, money is a tool, an instrument that human societies have developed, have invented over the centuries as a way to transfer money, transfer value. So instead of transferring value by giving you a bucket of wheat or a barrel of rum or a goat or a chicken, we've come up with this thing that we can transfer value in the form of currency or money. And at one time, that would have been specie money. So for instance, that would be a gold coin or a silver coin or a copper coin, where the coin itself, the money itself, had some intrinsic value, right? But over time, that evolved, and it gave us what we call commodity money, where governments came up with paper certificates, banks would come up with certificates they would issue. And the paper money would be commodity money that, for instance, a dollar used to represent so much gold the US would have at Fort Knox. So in the idea of commodity money is the money itself, the paper money itself, is backed up by the silver or gold or some commodity that the issuer of the currency has. But that was replaced by fiat money. So what is fiat money? Instead of having a gold on deposit at Fort Knox or silver or some other commodity, instead of the currency being backed up by that, the currency is just issued by the government, and the government declares it to be legal tender, and it's not backed up by any physical commodity. It's just currency, and it attains its value by the relationship of supply and demand in the market, and trust in the market, and trust in the government. So the US government seems to be very stable, reliable. The US has a big market, so US dollars are highly valued, right? Historically, most currencies were based originally on commodities such as gold and silver, but fiat money is based solely on the faith and credit of the economy and the government that issues it. And that's pretty much where we are today. Now, that's what money is. And what is our relationship with money today? So today, we all have relations with money. We have bank accounts. We deal with banks, and we get cash from the ATM, or we have a credit card from the bank, or we have a checking account of the bank, or we have cash in our pockets that we go to the teller and we say, give me $50 out of my account, or we get cash out of an ATM machine, or we go do a point of sale transaction and they say, do you want cash back with that? You go to the grocery store, you buy groceries and they ask for cash back. But all those transactions are centered around our having an account representing our value that's held in the bank. That's what it looks like today. And how do we use it? We use cash. Cash we use is actual physical cash that we can get from an ATM machine, or maybe we're going to write a check. Less and less, we're using checks, physically handwritten checks. As a matter of fact, my sons are in their 20s and 30s, and I don't think they've ever written a check in their life. But what that's been replaced by is electronic channels, credit cards, ATM cards, debit cards, for doing electronic transactions, point of sale transactions, maybe buying things through channels using your laptop. You want to go to Amazon and buy something, or you want to go to eBay, or you want to go to some other website and purchase something. Or maybe you're going to use your phone for the purchase, right? and you're going to you could use Apple Pay or something else. So the actual physical transfer of value by handing somebody a paper certificate, a dollar bill, $100 bill, that paper certificate or that handwritten check as a tool for transferring value is not as significantly used today as it would have been 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Now we're transferring value electronically. Now, what does the transaction look like today? So I'm going to talk about the problem, and I'm going to use a kind of a goofy example here. Some of you are going to say, "Oh no, I would have done this as a Venmo transaction." But for this example, I'm going to take two people, Annie and Karen, and they go out for lunch one day. And after lunch, Karen says, I owe you, Annie says, Karen, I owe you $100 for lunch today. So Karen says, great. Annie, that's fine. Can you send it to my bank account? At this point, Karen has to give Annie delivery instructions. Annie has to contact her bank, and she has to give her the information that she wants to send $100 to Karen's bank. So she needs to have delivery instructions that knows who is Karen's bank, what's the bank account. It's a complicated process, right? Now, other tools we have today like PayPal and Venmo simplify this greatly, but the overall model stays the same. There has to be delivery instructions. Annie has to instruct her bank to move the money. The bank says yes, they validate the transaction is good, and they're going to go into Annie's account at their bank. They're going to go into their ledger, and they're going to say, okay, Annie has $1,000 on the ledger for her account. They're going to deduct $100, update her ledger to say, okay, now she only has $900, and they're going to do electronic transfer to Karen's bank, Bank B. And Bank B is going to receive that transaction. And they're going to have to go into Karen's account. They're going to go into their ledger, and they're going to update their ledger to say, oh, Karen had no money in her account, but now we're going to add $100. So $100 is debited from Annie's account, $100 is credited to the ledger for Karen's account. Karen's bank notifies her that this has happened. She says thanks, and they move forward. Now, the flow here, the conceptual flow here would be the same, really, if it's PayPal or Venmo or whatever. But for this transaction, let's focus on Bank A and Bank B as a banking transaction. Right. So what's the problem with this model? Right. This model works to transfer value. We wanted to transfer $100 of value from Annie to Karen. Well, first of all, there's a lot of parties involved here. In this model, we've got Annie involved, we've got Karen involved, we've got Bank A involved, we've got Bank B involved. So there's a lot of different parties involved to the transaction. It's also very complex, right? We've got a transfer that has to happen, a bank transfer that has to happen. We've got a debit happening in one ledger at one institution. We've got a credit happening in another institution. We've got notification and confirmations to the parties involved. It's a pretty complex transaction that spans multiple technologies and multiple areas. So it's a complex transaction. It's also expensive, right? Now the banks make money. The banks aren't going to do this for free. So you're going to have an account, and effectively Annie and Karen are paying the bank for the right to have an account and for receiving these services. So it's expensive to do these transfers. They're not free. Also, there's a lack of privacy. It's not a private transaction. There's other people involved. Annie is fully disclosed and so is Karen. Everybody can see this. Tax collector can see it. A lot of people can see it. So it lacks privacy. So that's at a high level, conceptually, what is seen as the problem in the current world. Now, what does the future look like? What is the future for transferring value? So in the future, we want parties to be able to transfer value where it's peer-to-peer from one person on the internet, on electronics platform, transferring value peer-to-peer. So there aren't several banks involved, exchanges, electronic transfer. It's all one peer-to-peer transaction. And it's also global. It doesn't matter where Annie is located, where Karen is located. The two people, the two parties transferring value can be anywhere in the world, any geography, any political location. Also, there's a single ledger. Whereas before, we had the complexity of two ledgers at two different banks, one being credited and one being debited. Here, ideally in the future, this is all done globally, on the network, peer-to-peer, with a single ledger. By having a single ledger, it's less likely that you could have a problem where the transaction is not correctly updated. So ideally, this concept of a peer-to-peer network with a single ledger that's global and that also is completely anonymous. It's value being transferred electronically, anonymously, globally, seamlessly, peer-to-peer with a single ledger. That's what the future view for transferring value is, because that's the purpose of currency, right? Is transfer value. So what are cryptocurrencies? Right, so the definition of cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that uses cryptography for security. Right? Cryptocurrency is difficult to counterfeit because of the security feature. A defining feature of cryptocurrency, and arguably its most enduring allure, is its organic nature. It is not issued by any central authority, rendering it theoretically immune to government interference or manipulation. So cryptocurrencies are not issued by a government. They're not issued by a bank. They're not issued by the state. They're not issued by any central authority. That's one of the defining things that makes cryptocurrency different than currency. Your US dollars are issued by the US government through the Treasury, right? Nations issue currency, yen, won, dollars, pounds, euros. There's a central authority. In the case of euro, it would be the European Union, right? So in cryptocurrency, there is no central authority issuing the currency, right? Now, in this model for cryptocurrency, cryptocurrencies preserve value, facilitate the exchange of value, and it's more transportable than hard metals, obviously. You can't carry around a bag of gold or silver coins. And it's outside the influence of central banks or governments. So that's the value, that's the definition of a cryptocurrency and what the value proposition is. So why cryptocurrencies? Again, transfers value. Cryptocurrencies make it easy to transfer value between two parties in a transaction. They're secure. Transfers are facilitated through the use of public and private keys for security purposes. They're very low cost. By taking the banks and all that other infrastructure out of the equation, it becomes low cost. Funds transfers are done with minimal processing fees, allowing users to avoid steep fees charged by banks and financial institutions. Disintermediation. Currency that is not to be controlled by any central authority. So when we say disintermediation, that's this point I mentioned earlier, that it's not issued or controlled by any central bank or any government. Government isn't controlling it. Government isn't printing more of it. Government isn't, the Federal Reserve Bank isn't trying to control it. There's no central control. This removes this the traditional view that we have of currency is there's always a central authority or a government. And then the other thing is it's anonymous, right? I mean, I think we all know that our banking transactions today are not anonymous, right? Everything you do through your bank is clearly watched and identified. And it's for security reasons, it's for tax reasons, it's for governments having control, it's for the OFAC, Office of Foreign Control, right? So with cryptocurrencies, every transaction is completely anonymous. And that's why Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are used widely on the dark web, right? The dark web likes it because it's great. If you want to kidnap somebody and you want to pay a ransom, cryptocurrency is how you want to get paid. Or if you're a hacker and you hack and you take control of somebody's computer system and you want to hold that system hostage and blackmail someone to get a key to unlock it, cryptocurrencies is how you want to get paid. So a lot of dark transactions, a lot of transactions that governments would not approve of are done today using cryptocurrencies. And it's for exactly these reasons. It transfers value, it's secure, it's low cost, it takes the government out, and it's anonymous. Now, technology opportunities for cryptocurrencies, right? These are just looking for technologies. After confirmation, transaction cannot be reversed. That's a big benefit in technology speak for this. You can't revert. Once a transaction is done, it's done. Either the transaction or accounts are connected to real world identities. It's anonymous, right? Transactions are propagated nearly instantaneously in the network and are confirmed, right? So transactions get populated and distributed across the network quickly, instantaneously, and can be confirmed quickly. Cryptocurrency funds are locked in a public key cryptography system. Only the owner of the key can send it. So basically they use this key encryption. So it's secure and it's permissionless. No one needs to grant permission to use cryptocurrency. It's just software that anyone can download. So using cryptocurrencies, it's permissionless, anyone can use it, it's secure, it's fast, and it's global. It's not limited to any one country. It is anonymous and it's irreversible. Once you send somebody money or value or in Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, it can't be undone. You can't like cancel it and call back the transaction. It's permanent. But what are the drawbacks of cryptocurrencies? Well, because cryptocurrencies are virtual, they don't have a central repository. A digital cryptocurrency balance can be wiped out by the computer's crash and a copy of the holdings don't exist. So this was the old joke people said was somebody 10 years ago, let's say when cryptocurrency first came out, they might have had some Bitcoin on their computer in their college dorm. And if the computer got wiped out, they lost that cryptocurrency. They lost that value. Right? Since prices are based on supply and demand, the rate at which a cryptocurrency can be exchanged for another currency fluctuates widely. That's a drawback. Hacking is a concern with cryptocurrencies, right? Cryptocurrencies are not immune to the threat of hacking. In Bitcoin's short history, the company has been subject to over 40 thefts, including a few that exceeded $1 million. So hacking is a concern. Again, this is getting tightened up. It's getting more and more difficult for hackers, but it is a concern with cryptocurrencies. And then double spending is a problem that early on, when cryptocurrencies first started to appear, there was this risk that a currency could be spent twice. That let's say you had cryptocurrency in your account and you spent it, and then maybe you spent it again before the transaction was fully committed. It was a double spending was a problem. It has since been resolved by people like Bitcoin, but it was seen as an early issue with cryptocurrencies and a problem to be resolved. All right, so what are the major cryptocurrencies today? I throw this slide in here. There are hundreds of cryptocurrencies today. And there's a link here to coinmarketcap.com that if you go there, it lists for that day, as of that moment, what are the top 100 leading cryptocurrencies as of today. And you can actually see them. Now, I did this today. Today is December 10th. So as of December 10th, Bitcoin was the leading cryptocurrency, with Ethereum being second, and Binance coin third. I'm not familiar with that one. Tether fourth, and it goes on. So you go to that website, you get a list of the top 100 cryptocurrencies listed by their market capitalization. Okay, now this list changes every day. It changes intraday, actually, right? As new cryptocurrencies are invented and rolled out, and they grow and expand, and their capitalization changes, this list will change. But I don't want you to think there's just one cryptocurrency. There are well over 100 popular cryptocurrencies today. Bitcoin is the one we tend to talk about the most, but it's not the only cryptocurrency. So let's talk about the market capitalization. Now, as of today, December 10th, 2021, right? Let's look at the market capitalization of Bitcoin. So what do we mean by, and the symbol for Bitcoin is BTC. So what do we mean by market capitalization? Well, in theory, market cap, I believe, should be, if you take the current price, which currently Bitcoin is $58,338.66 for one Bitcoin. If you multiply that by the current supply, the circulating number of Bitcoins circulating, there's currently over 18 million Bitcoins in circulation. If you multiply the price by how many are in circulation, you should get the market cap. Now, unfortunately, if you look at these numbers, what you're going to see is, if you do this math, you'll find that the actual number comes up different than what's listed here on this website. I don't know the reason why the math doesn't work out on this website. I assume it's probably a result of rounding or some other issue. But you can go to the site and you can see what the current value is of Bitcoin, what the current price is for Bitcoin. And it's funny because I actually started working on putting this slide together on December 3rd, and the price of Bitcoin December 3rd was like $52,000. And here, just a week later, it's down to $48,000. So one of the points I want you to take from this is the value in the crypto market goes through wild swings. It changes and can change radically, quickly. And it's just something you should be aware of if you're going to go into this market. So that's part one of the discussion on cryptocurrencies. I hope you'll come back and join me for part two, which deals a little bit more with blockchain and some of the details. Again, my name is Paul Judge. My email, you can contact me, is paul_judge@alumni.shu.edu, and my LinkedIn profile is listed here. I hope to see you on the next part two of this presentation. Thank you and have a nice day.